We are honored tonight to have a very special guest, an alumnus from the Zeta Iota Zeta at the University of Kansas, Congressman Kevin Yoder. Kevin is a fifth-generation Kansan who grew up on a grain and livestock farm near Yoder, Kansas. He received degrees in political science and English from the University of Kansas, graduating with honors in 1999. While at KU, he was active in campus leadership, serving as the KU student body president. He also served as president of both Phi Alpha Delta Pre-Law Society and the Kansas Lambda Chi Alpha chapter. Upon graduation, Kevin entered the University of Kansas Law School, and while at KU Law, he served an unprecedented 2 years as the Student Bar Association president. He was also a member of the Board of Governors and on the Honor Code Committee. He received his JD in the spring of 2002. Prior to being elected to Congress, Kevin served as a state representative in the Kansas legislature, representing Leawood and Overland Park. On January 5th of 2011, Kevin was sworn in to serve his first term as part of the 112th Congress. He was honorably selected to serve on the House Appropriations Committee, the committee responsible for allocating federal spending. Since taking office, he has consistently focused on balancing the federal budget, reducing the national debt, and supporting policies that stimulate private sector job growth. Kevin lives in Overland Park with his wife, Brooke, who was kind enough to join us here this evening. And in addition, I wanted to share that as an undergraduate, and as an undergraduate brother, Kevin served on the Student Advisory Committee, followed that up with a stint on the International Ritual Team, and was a finalist for the Duke Flat Award. As an alumnus, he has served his Zeta as both the High Pi and Housing Corps president. How fortunate we are to have Kevin as a brother of our great fraternity. His inspiring story is an example for all of us, and before he speaks, I would like to ask him to join me here up on stage. You don't get to talk just yet. I get to do this, and this is one of the great parts of my job as well. The Lambda Chi Alpha Order of Achievement was first established in 1958 to honor those members who have distinguished themselves by achieving outstanding success in the fields of business, industry, politics, the arts, sciences, or other professions. Their accomplishments bring honor to Lambda Chi Alpha and serve as an inspiration to their brothers. These men represent the fraternity's ideals in action and serve as an example for the undergraduates who are preparing to follow them out into the world. When considering men who are qualified for this award, the Grand High Zeta takes into consideration the character of the individual. Some of the prominent recipients of this award include former U.S. Supreme Court Justice Harry A. Blackmun, World War II flying hero Lieutenant General Jimmy Doolittle, ESPN founder Bill Rasmussen, Hall of Fame basketball coach Hank Iba, noted psychologist B.F. Skinner, and former U.S. President Harry S. Truman. Tonight, we add Kevin Yoder to this prestigious list. Would you please join me in congratulating our newest member to the Order of Achievement, Kevin Yoder. Congratulations. Oh, we got to do the picture. Brother Yoder, the floor is yours.
Thank you, thank you. Well, Bill, thank you for that wonderful introduction. I could listen to that all night, so that was great. I appreciate the chance to be here tonight, and I'm so honored and humbled to be amongst the midst of so many servants to this great fraternity that we all are so proud of. I've had the chance to attend General Assemblies as an undergraduate twice, both in Dallas and Phoenix, but to be here tonight in this capacity, to me, is an honor I never, ever thought I would have a chance to be a part of. And so thank you, Bill, for this award, and thank you for the moment to share some remarks from my perspective as someone who believes Lambda Chi has been an incredible part of my life and know that it's been such an important part for many of you. I want to thank each of you for your dedication and service to the fraternity and your commitment to each other. For some of you, this is just the beginning of your Lambda Chi experience. Maybe your first General Assembly, you may be a new undergraduate, but others, this may be the continuation of a lifelong commitment spanning 60 years or longer, like the infamous and wonderful leader we've had for so many decades in this fraternity, Dr. Ghali. Sir. For those of you who are here as an undergraduate at a General Assembly, I can tell you that when I came in the 90s and did this, I still remember Doc to this very day. And so individuals like Doc and people throughout this fraternity who continue to give for decades are an inspiration. And I can tell you they made a big difference in my life. I'm humbled to be in his presence. I'm humbled to be in all of your presence. I'm not sure I'm worthy of being your keynote speaker, but I'm happy to try. Now, as I said, I've attended other General Assemblies in my time as an undergraduate. This is the first time as an alum. And as an undergraduate, you've been, like many of you, I'd been here all week. I'd worked really hard. I'd gone through a lot of breakout sessions. Not really sure what all had stuck, but I had been through a lot of it. And I first want to tell you that while you may not know all that you've learned in terms of what it might mean for your future, it makes a big difference. And these events and these conventions stick with you for a number of years. But this year I'm asked to give the keynote speech as opposed to maybe sleep through one, which we've all done a time or two. And so unlike my undergraduate years, I'm actually having a chance to be here, but I also have a chance to bring a date, which is something new as well. And I want to introduce to you my beautiful wife, who is a Chi Omega from the University of Kentucky. And Brooke, if you'd please stand. This is definitely her first Lambda Chi General Assembly, as far as I know. You haven't been with other guys, have you? Okay, just checking. She asked me what she should wear, and I said anything purple, green, or gold will be just fine. So she has a purple dress on tonight. I'd also like to announce to you that just shortly before this event this evening, we didn't date in college. We've been married for a number of years, but did not date when I was in college. I presented her with the Lambda Chi Alpha lavalier, and she now wears that proudly on her neck tonight. So. I want to tell you that I feel like I'm home tonight. I feel like I'm back where my journey began. Like many of you, I didn't always know in my life I was going to join Lambda Chi Alpha. I came to the University of Kansas, a crowded campus of 25,000 students. It can be a place where if you're in a big campus, you're looking for a home, you're looking for a family. And I found that in Lambda Chi Alpha. And I will tell you, as a member of Congress, and I'm in my first term, I'm one of the freshman members, represent an area in the suburbs of Kansas City. So I'm one of the freshmen, I'm a Republican, one of the freshman Republicans in Congress. Hey, all right. I don't want to get that started here. I know we're a unified fraternity. But I tell you that as a member of Congress, and we've all seen this looking at Congress and our leaders, it's easy for members in public service to lose their path. It's common for folks to forget why they got in the business of public service in the first place. But I will tell you, coming back to Lambda Chi tonight, coming back to this General Assembly, brings me right back to where my adventure in public service began. Lambda Chi is part of my core. I can say without any hesitation that without my Lambda Chi experience, I would not today be serving as a member of the United States House of Representatives. When I came to KU, as I said, I was unsure about how to move forward. I was a shy freshman. I didn't really know what I wanted to do when I grew up, and I just was looking for a pathway. I knew very little about Greek life. I didn't have very many friends who joined fraternities. I knew what you'd maybe see on Hollywood and in movies, but that really wasn't the fraternity experience I was seeking. But I was seeking a home, a family, not just room and board. I immediately found a home at Lambda Chi my freshman year. Now, my grandfather was a Lambda Chi at Knox College in the 1920s. So I had an idea about fraternity itself. I liked the fact the fraternity had a no hazing policy, but I was nervous and unsure if I had made the right decision. Well, I'm here to tell you today that choosing to be a member of Lambda Chi may have been one of the most critical turning points in my life. Over the course of my years at Lambda Chi, I was transformed, not only from the friendships and the relationships you build, and those have lasted for a lifetime, from the friendships I had on the Students Advisory Committee, to my roommates in the fraternity house, the folks I worked with on the officer corps, to people that you sat with and cried with when something tragic happened in their lives. Those friendships last a lifetime, and I wouldn't trade them for anything. Many of my friends and people I call on when I need help today in my life are fraternity brothers that are still there for me. When I read the lifetime of true brotherhood, I can tell you it is true, and it is important, and it's valuable. But it's not only those friendships and confidence you gain from having those people in your corner and to be in their corner, but it's the life-changing lessons for me about the value of service and leadership that made such a difference. I'd never been in elected office before until I came to the fraternity. I'd never knew much about service. I didn't know the world out there in terms of what was available to folks who gave to their communities. I learned through Lambda Chi that service is a two-way street, that the more you put into it, the more it gives back to you. I found the rewards of hard work, the benefits of commitment to a cause, and seeing it through. I learned valuable people skills that helped me get through the tough fraternity situations that I still rely on today. I gobbled up every chance I had to be involved. From serving as High Tau to High Beta to High Alpha to the Students Advisory Committee to the International Ritual Team to immediately after I got out of school to High Pi and Corporation Board President, I gave all that I had that I could give when an opportunity arose. My one regret to this day still is that I never chose to be an ELC and to travel for the fraternity, and had an opportunity to do so and decided not to, and it's probably one regret. It'd be a lot of fun to go back and do that. I asked earlier, but they said they won't let folks in their 30s go do that, so apparently those, or congressmen for some reason. So we won't be doing that one, but I can tell you that nothing could have prepared me better for a future in public service. I can still remember as a sophomore member of the fraternity getting elected to High Tau, and I'd never been elected to anything in my life. That experience gave me so much confidence. I can still remember when I was elected High Alpha, and tears are rolling down my face that a group of 50 men would want me to be in charge of the fraternity and make decisions. I soon learned that because they knew that it was a tough deal, and they were happy to have me do it. When people ask me what the single experience best prepares someone for serving in the United States House, I often go back to that experience as High Alpha and tell you that experience may be one of the toughest and most rigorous leadership training experiences that anyone could ever go through. The High Alphas in the room know about this. You've been through it, from hand-holding to budgeting to crisis solving to all the things that go in from being a chapter president. You're in a pressure cooker of 50 guys or 100 guys. There's conflict. The meaning of tough brotherhood comes out very quickly. And when you have to walk up to a fraternity brother's room and tell him because he's violated the principles of the fraternity so badly, he can no longer be a member, those aren't moments you forget. And that's the one-on-one personal leadership experiences that I gained and that took me from being a shy, unsure freshman at the University of Kansas to someone full of confidence and hopeful for a future of public service. Now, there are a lot of parallels between serving in the United States House and being a member of a fraternity. In fact, it's been said that the U.S. House is very much like a fraternity house, and the Senate is a little bit more like a sorority house. In the House, we are 435 individuals packed into one chamber. Legislating is a little bit messy. There are a lot of late nights, lots of yelling and cramming sessions, last-minute projects that always seem to find a way to be completed at the last minute. We have our fair share of cliques, factions, and of course, the backbenchers who take credit for work they really didn't help with. In the Senate, it's all formal sitting rooms with tea sets, nice wallpaper, fireplaces. Nobody's running around. Nobody's got a furious pace. There's no cramming. And the only yelling and shouting is to make sure that you can be heard by a person wearing a hearing aid. That's why they call it the lower chamber. The House is the upper chamber. There are even pranks, I'll tell you, in the house. In fact, I may need your help here, if you can help me a bit. There's another freshman member who offices next to me. He's a beta. He thinks it's funny to prank my office. From putting a dead plant on a coffee table in the middle of my office before a meeting, to removing a wheel from my desk chair so that I fall over, all the way to putting a shaving cream on the earpiece of my desk phone and walking around all day with shaving cream on my ear. The shenanigans really harken back to the fraternity days, and so I can tell you retaliation will occur. It will happen, but I could use a few ideas. So for those of you guys that know some good fraternity dorm pranks, please share those with me after the meeting. People wonder why we can't figure out the national debt, by the way. Putting shaving cream on people's phones. I will tell you, if we had a whole chamber full of 435 Lambda Chi leaders who'd been through the rigorous training of this fraternity, they'd figure out that national deficit overnight. That's right. Now, what I've found along my way as a Lambda Chi, not only in personal life and in business, but in Congress, is that the connections and associations you make can last a lifetime. Well, I put in my hours of service as an undergrad and alum, and I continue to do so, but I continue to reap the benefits of that service as an alum member in Congress. And I want to talk to you about an experience I've had as a freshman member. Congress, just like in a fraternity, membership is very important. The Big Brother, Little Brother program that's at Lambda Chi is a key component of our fraternity education program. In the real world and in Congress, this is no different. As a freshman member of the U.S. House, I was assigned a mentor and was struck that it was a Lambda Chi, Jack Kingston from Georgia. Once again, the fraternity experience continues to shape my life. I've also had the opportunity to meet many times with another great mentor who's in Washington, D.C., Kevin O'Neill, who many of you know has been a great alumni volunteer for the fraternity. We actually work on projects together. There's actually a PAC in Washington called the Frat PAC, which is a group of fraternity and sorority alums that are working towards making changes to the tax code through a legislation called the Collegiate Housing Infrastructure Act that would allow donations to fraternity housing, the entire housing, not just the educational portion, but the entire portion to be labeled educational donations so that all those donations could be tax deductible. And so I think you can see a theme here. I'm 36 years old. I came to Lambda Chi at 18. I've never stopped serving since that first opportunity to serve at Lambda Chi. It changed my life, and it continues to guide me and give me courage to this day in the United States Congress. I continue to try to give back on legislation or in events and doing those things, but it's a lifelong of service, and it's a lifelong of relationships. There are other members of Lambda Chi who are in the United States Congress. Besides myself and Jack Kingston, there is Kevin Brady, who you heard from at lunch today, a great leader in Congress, Lloyd Doggett, Tom Rooney, and even presidential candidate Ron Paul. Now, there hasn't been a Lambda Chi in the Senate since John Breaux of Louisiana, and since he retired, and I think the lack of Lambda Chis in the Senate explains a lot about why the Senate is a complete dysfunctional mess today. In Congress, out of the 535 members in the House and Senate, 145 have Greek affiliation. Outside of participating in Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts, being Greek is the second most common social experience shared by members of Congress, even ahead of those who have served admirably in the United States military. But this makes sense. Today, fraternities and sororities are the top leadership development organizations on our college campuses. We are all called to serve for various reasons, for different purposes: your school board, your church, your community. The Bible states, "To whom much is given, of him much shall be required." We've been given a gift. Visionaries like Warren Cole, Jack Mason, Bruce McIntosh, George Spazek, and our own Dr. Ghali came before us and laid out a plan and a vision for our grand fraternity. A fraternity built on service, on sacrifice, on leadership, on brotherly love and trust. What a beautiful thing. I grew up a farm kid from rural Kansas. I didn't have much. I had student loans and Pell Grants to get through college. I worked part-time jobs through high school and college. I'd never served in any office before I came to Lambda Chi. I owe a lifetime of gratitude for Lambda Chi for giving me a chance. To Cole, Mason, and others for setting a guide path. Now, I'm just starting on my path to leadership. There's so many more opportunities to serve and give back to our communities, and so are you. You've been given these same opportunities, these same tools for success. I implore you to embrace every opportunity. Take risk. Stand up for what you believe in. In your remaining collegiate years, run for an office, join a committee, start a program, make a difference. In my years in the fraternity and throughout life, I've noticed time and time again that only one or two people can make the entire difference in a Greek organization. If your fraternity if your chapter is struggling, stand up, make a difference. One or two people can do it all. They don't have to, but one or two people can be the spark that inspires 5 or 10 more. But you need to be that spark. Do the things that you aren't asked to do. Pitch in when no one asks you to. Stand up and be a leader. But most of all, learn, serve, and give all that you can to this wonderful fraternity. And I promise you will get much more back in return. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless our awesome fraternity.